Hello, my name is Yvette Calderon, and I am the chair of emergency medicine at Mount Sinai Beth Israel. I want to thank Mr. Chacon for inviting me today to speak at your webinar. I was asked to talk a little bit about the impact of COVID-19 on the Latinx community. I wanted to start first by talking a little bit about just the actual data of what we were seeing. This is data actually from the CDC. And as you can see, it shows that the cases, hospitalizations, and death from COVID-19 were higher in Latinx communities, as well as African American and uh, Native American Indians. Here, I show you some of the data from New York City, where I practice. And as you can see, some of the data regarding mortality is a little underestimated, in my opinion, based on the fact that, especially early on, we were not testing everyone for coronavirus that came into the hospital, into the emergency department or hospital, and unless they met strict criteria. So with that, I want you to keep in mind that while the data shows overwhelmingly that Latinx communities and African American communities were more disproportionately affected, we know that some of the data is underreported. Again, you can see here in New York City with respect to just cases, and this is at a rate per 100,000 people, the Latinx community were disproportionately affected, as well as within hospitalizations and deaths. So with respect to the frontline impact, what we were seeing in the emergency department, I must say that the most overwhelming and the most dramatic impact for me was the isolation that I saw with my patients, and particularly those patients that were near the end of life. If one can imagine going into a hospital without your loved ones, they leave you at the door. And moreover, if you only speak your primary language of Spanish or another language for that matter, but English is not your preferred language, if you can imagine feeling scared, because the fear in the eyes of our patients were so incredibly overwhelming, feeling isolated, feeling like there is no one there to really advocate for you because you can't advocate for yourself. To me, that was the most impressive, dramatic, and overwhelming impact that I saw. Yes, with respect to our patients that were at end of life, I think that was what affected me the most, not only from a professional perspective of being a physician, but also as being a daughter when I lost my father and he was alone. Uh, I couldn't even be by his side at the nursing home. So when we talk about the disparities that our communities are holding, please consider that one of the most important pieces of, of health and end of life is the fact of being able to be with family throughout whatever the journey is. And this I saw as one of the most um, overwhelming and hurtful parts of COVID. From the side of the providers, it was equally as isolating. And unfortunately, when we're so used to helping families and patients through the journey of healing, and sometimes through the journey of death and end of life, unfortunately, we could not do that with the families. And that was very devastating for the communities of providers, our nurses, our doctors. Um, it was very, very overwhelming. So when you think about all of the different disproportionately um, dis- disproportionately effects of the coronavirus, please consider the humanity piece of this as well, which I think is equally as important. I leave you with one of my favorite quotes. Of all the forms of an inequality, injustice in healthcare is the most shocking and inhumane. Thank you.